Hello again. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy over here for EliTheComputerGuy.com and EverymanIT.com. Today's class is bandwidth throttling with NetBalancer. So if you've been studying networking for a little while now, you have heard of something called bandwidth throttling. What bandwidth throttling is it is a mechanism that is used to restrict how much network bandwidth a certain computer or application on a network will use. The problem with normal TCP/IP networking is if one computer tries to connect out on the internet or out somewhere and starts downloading a large amount of information or uploading a large amount of information, that can affect the bandwidth for every other computer or service on that local network. So if you have one person in the office who decides that they are going to illegally, download 150 pirated movies, well, if they start downloading all of those movies, that can cause problems for the rest of the network. Emails may not be able to work properly. You may not be able to surf the web very easily. Why? Because that one computer or that one service is sucking up all the bandwidth for the network. Now, with me doing web application and migrating many of my clients to the cloud, why this becomes a problem is when you start uploading a lot of information to the cloud, that can cause, again, problems for the entire network. So when I have transferred my clients over to online backup systems or onto hosted Exchange servers, a lot of times they have to upload 10, 20, 100 gigs of data. And the issue is a lot of times the software will try to push that data up as quickly as possible. Now, when it pushes the data up as quickly as possible, that means that all the other services and computers on that local network are now having a more difficult time being able to upload and download their own data. So back, when I started migrating my clients to the cloud, 3-4 years ago, it would be sadly normal for once we migrated them to the cloud, it would be 5 days before their internet connection would work properly for them again. Emails wouldn't come in right, surfing the internet would be kind of hinky. God help them if they wanted to make any purchases on the internet. The reason is because all the online backup, all the online hosted exchange was pushing so much data up on the upload bandwidth that it was causing problems for everything else. Thankfully, I found this piece of software called NetBalancer that allows me to do bandwidth throttling on the local computer. So what NetBalancer allows me to do is I can install it on the local computer, and then I can select different network applications and restrict how much upload or download speed they're able to use. So as I'll show you in a couple of minutes on the demonstration, when I try to upload a 3.5 gig file using FileZilla, it will be trying to use 250 kilobytes of upload speed. Now, if I only had a DSL connection, that means my entire network would come to a crashing halt because DSL, has a very, very low upload speed. Well, what I can do with NetBalancer is I can right-click on the FileZilla, and then I can say I only want FileZilla to use 30 kilobytes per second. And it will restrict FileZilla to only be able to use that amount of upload speed. So you can do upload or download. It's a pretty simple piece of software. Again, if you do any kind of web application development, it's very good to use. If you have to do cloud stuff, it's very good to use. With me, I started using this a little over a year ago. As we've talked about with EverymanIT, I've had to do a couple of migrations of all of the videos. So the last migration I did of the videos, I had 100 videos I had to upload. Now these are 100 high-def videos that last anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So I literally had like 100 gigs that had to get uploaded to YouTube. It took a week and a half to do. Well, why NetBalancer was nice is if I had simply uploaded all that 100 gigs without NetBalancer, again, my email wouldn't have worked very well, trying to surf the internet would have been a pain in the butt. Any network service that wasn't uploading would have had a big problem. What I was able to do With NetBalancer is I was able to load all the files to be uploaded. Then I could go into NetBalancer and then restrict the upload speed. So back then I could say, I only want YouTube to be able to use 100 kilobytes per second upload speed. I was able to restrict the upload, and then I could surf the internet, I could get my email, and I could do other things pretty easily. That's what makes NetBalancer so nice. So with that, I'm going to go up, we're going to go to the computer, I'm going to show you how to download NetBalancer and then how to use it. It's a really nifty piece of software. As I'll talk about in the demo, there's a free version, as always, there's a pro version, as always. I think the free version is great. It's a lifesaver if you do any kind of migration to cloud computing or web application development. So to start off with, in order to do bandwidth throttling, we have to go to SiriusBit.com/NetBalancer. So SiriusBit.com, these are the guys who created NetBalancer. As you'll see here, like almost all of these products that are out there, there is the pro version and the free version. What I'm going to show you today is the free version. If you scroll down through all the information that they give you, you see that the free version is actually pretty powerful. You only really need the pro version if you're if you're really doing a whole bunch of stuff with your computer or server. So the free version is limited to a maximum of 5 process priorities, rules, etc. So I think the free version is more than adequate enough for most people, and frankly, it is more than adequate enough for me. So in order to download the free version, you just find the link and you download the free version, and obviously, you download and install it like normal. If you go through the installation process, it's a normal installation process. Again, I'm not going to bore you with it. It's just, next. So once you have downloaded NetBalancer, you get a nice little icon on your desktop that looks like this, said NetBalancer. And of course, in order to start NetBalancer, you simply double click it. Once you have double clicked it, you then get a screen like this. So this is very interesting for a number of reasons. Not just the normal reason, we need to see what FileZilla is doing or such, but this will also show you different pieces of software that are using the network that you may not realize. When I opened this up, I saw that Word was using the network. Outlook is doing communications sometimes when you don't realize it is. So it's pretty simple to understand what's going on here. Right here in the left-hand side is the name of the program or the service. So some of these things you may just have to do a Google search to find out what it is. FileZilla exe is pretty easy. Chrome exe, WMP network. .exe, you might have to take a look and see what it is. I've got Carbonite running, etc., etc., etc. It shows you the process ID. Then it shows you next to it, this shows the download. So how much bandwidth is this application downloading right now, using to download, and then right beside it is upload. So before I started this video, I started uploading a file using FileZilla. So now you'll notice, and this is something that's interesting to keep in mind, is right now I am uploading like a 3.5 gig file to my GoDaddy account, just so I have something to work with here. All I'm doing, quote unquote, all I'm doing is uploading, but you'll notice when I upload, I'm also using download bandwidth. So this is something to keep in mind, is even if you're only technically uploading something, you also use download bandwidth. If you're downloading something, you also use a little bit of upload bandwidth. So this is why if you're using all of your upload bandwidth, let's say using Carbonite, which is an online backup solution or something like that, that is why your download speed might also have problems. The reason is because when you download files off the internet, you use Internet Explorer or Chrome, not only are you downloading, but you're also pushing up some information. Well, if you're using one of these online backup solutions and it's using all of your upload speed, that may end up causing you problems on the download side.
Beside the upload speed is priority, so we can change the priority of these uploads. So if we want to say that FileZilla is more important than Chrome, we'll be able to do that. We can do download limits, upload limits, connections. So how many connections per piece of software are happening, how much has been downloaded, and how much has been uploaded. So I can see, as we talked about before, I'm using FileZilla to upload a 3.5 gig file. Well, I can see here that it's only uploaded 141 megs of that file. Beside this, we can see if it's using CPU, we can see the path for the file, command, creation date, some of that stuff. So this is the basic information that you'll see up on the top portion of NetBalancer. Then what you can also do is you can highlight a piece of software and get some other information. So I can highlight this Carbonite service. So Carbonite is an online backup, a piece of backup software. Then I can go down to this lower right hand corner and see some very interesting information. So this is Carbonite backup service. I can see the remote IP address that it is backing up to, or that it's communicating with, 66.151.233.80. I can see what the remote port is. I can see that it's TCP, I can see it's established, I can see the local IP address, the local port number, etc. So this is something interesting to see, especially if you think that your system might be getting hacked. You can find the service or piece of software that's trying to dump information somewhere out there on the internet, and then try to track down and figure out where it's dumping this information to. So, and like I said, with Carbonite, I can see that it's pushing information to this IP address. If I go to FileZilla, I can see that the remote IP is a DNS name. I can see the remote port is 21, TCP, etc. Chrome, I can see port 80. It's on Facebook right now. So you can see all of this information. So, you know, depending on what you're doing, this information might be more or less useful. One of the reasons why this information, this port number, can be very, very useful is especially if you're working in a secure environment. You know, if you're one of these people that really, really wants to have a secure computer and you're using Norton Internet Security Suite or any of these high-powered Internet Security Suites, those security suites many times will block ports that your network software is trying to use. A lot of times you cannot simply go on the internet and find out what port the software is using. You know, sometimes it's just poorly documented, or frankly nobody documented what network port a piece of software is using. Well, you can start your piece of software up, and then you can look down here and you can see what port has to be opened in order for the software to work. So that's how this can be useful beyond simply, you know, doing bandwidth throttling. So then the final thing, which is easiest, which is why we're here, is bandwidth throttling for these applications. So as we can see here, FileZilla is using 243 kilobits bytes per second upload. So right now it's uploading a lot of data, and it's trying to do it relatively quickly. Now, depending on what internet connection you have, this may cause a lot of problems. For me, I have Comcast internet. I've got, like, I don't know, 10 meg upload speed. So this really isn't causing me a lot of problems. But let's say I was on a DSL connection and it was causing me a lot of problems. All I have to do is I have to highlight what process, what program I want to bandwidth throttle. I you right click, just like you do with everything else, and then you get these options. So green and the down arrow means what you're going to do with the download speed. Red and the up arrow means what you're going to do with the upload speed. So you can, you know, I've done this doesn't really work that well. You can give different processes different priorities. So you can say, I want FileZilla to have a low priority or a normal priority, or if I wanted to make sure my file uploaded as quickly as possible, a high priority. What this means is that NetBalancer will then try to automatically adjust the bandwidth usage depending on these priorities that you have given it. Like I say, I've used this. I guess it's okay. I don't really like it. I don't really think it works that well. So what I do is I go to the limit. So this is download limit. My FileZilla is uploading, so I can go to upload limit, click on this, and then I can give it a specific number for how fast I want it to be able to upload. So it defaults to like 30, so I could say I want 60 kilobytes per second. Now look up here, it's 276 right now, right? I hit OK, and now you see it drop, and that quickly it's continuing to upload. This is the nice part with this. It is continuing to upload. I haven't stopped the upload. It is continuing to upload, but now I have restricted the speed to that 60 kilobytes per second. So if I now need to go on the internet or if I need to do other things, well, this speed has been restricted down to 60. If I want to change that, I simply go back to limit, and then I can say, I don't know, I can do 20 if I wanted to. I click 20, and now it'll go down to 20. Now, at some certain point, depending on what network application you use, if you bring this down too low, you are going to start to have problems. Now, that's really all there is to this NetBalancer software. You know, as with everything, there are other options up here, so please feel free to play with them. But this is the basic, you know, how you use it. The only final thing that I would show you is you see this little like bullseye thing here. If you play around with stuff and you totally muck everything up, or if you're just done, you don't want to throttle your bandwidth anymore, you can just click this little bullseye button, and that resets all the processes to their default. So I click yes, I click OK, and now you see FileZilla is going back up. And now it's using 733 kilobytes per second, so it's zooming on the upload speed. But so that's all there is to NetBalancer. Again, it's a fabulous piece of software. It's just great. I've used this a lot, you know, with web application development, or now especially with all these hosted services, these cloud services. This has been a lifesaver to be able to restrict the bandwidth on online backup or online exchange uploading is just a great thing. So with that, let's go back out to the real world. I gave you some final thoughts, and yep.
So that's all there is to bandwidth throttling with NetBalancer. It's a pretty easy to use piece of software. I showed you all you have to do. You double click it, it opens a screen. If one of your pieces of networking software is using too much bandwidth, you simply right click, you restrict up or down, and that's it. The big thing to remember is if you want to stop restricting the bandwidth, you just click on that little bullseye button, and that will reset everything to default. Again, what I like with it, not simply the bandwidth throttling, but from a security and just a general network administration standpoint, it will show you all the applications on your computer that are using network bandwidth. Again, Word, Word is using bandwidth. Some of these things. You may have a little virus or piece of software, and you can see that, hey, look, it's trying to communicate back home. The cool part with that is you can then try to see where home is. You can see what the IP address or the domain name it is trying to communicate to. You can see the port number it's trying to communicate to. That again, for general security. And what is nice is if you need to open up ports on your firewall, you can see what these applications are trying to use to communicate. Again, as you go along as an IT technician, you're going to find out many things are not documented nearly as well as they should be. Sadly, many things are not documented at all. So, if you start up your Norton Internet Security, some piece of networking software might just crash. And you may not know why. You may go to the help logs, you may go to forums, you may not be able to figure out why. Well, the reason may very well be is that a certain port is closed, and if you open up NetBalancer, you can see, oh, hey, look, that specific port, it needs that specific port, so I will open it on the firewall. So the great things with NetBalancer, again, bandwidth throttling, and you can see all this other information. I showed you the ability to give low priority, normal priority, high priority. Again, I wouldn't suggest it. I have used it. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I just don't think it works great. If you're going to do the bandwidth throttling, just get in there and give it a real solid number. You saw how quickly it works. If you want to adjust it a little bit, you can just click it again and put it up and put it down and find something that works for you. I think that is the best thing. Now the big thing, the important thing to remember about this is when we're talking about bandwidth throttling with NetBalancer, remember that we're bandwidth throttling on the specific computer. You're not bandwidth throttling the network. So if you want to do bandwidth throttling for the entire network, that is something that will be configured within the router. That's another class entirely. This bandwidth throttling is on a specific computer. So if you have multiple computers in your local area network and you need to try to do bandwidth throttling so that they don't choke the entire network and bring it to a screeching halt, remember you have to install NetBalancer and configure each computer individually, and then think about how much upload or download speed you want each individual computer to have. If you install it and only configure it on one computer, that is only one computer. So all the applications on that one computer might be hunky-dory and happy, but other computers on the network might still be having problems. That's something to think about. So if you're using NetBalancer, this is a per computer thing. So, you just gotta just think about it and figure it out, do some math in your head. So as you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy over here for EliTheComputerGuy.com and EverymanIT.com. Again, this was bandwidth throttling with NetBalancer. Again, it is a very good tool. This is one of those tools I really do use. I really do think it's great. It's a wonderful little thing. As always, if you like this video class, please give it a thumbs up. Please tell your friends. Please share it on Facebook and StumbleUpon and Reddit and all of that kind of stuff. In the internet world, popularity is all that's important. The more thumbs up we get, the more popular we are, and in that roundabout way, we actually make more money. As always, there is a little donation link somewhere. You can click on the donation link. Come on. I know this stuff is worth a few bucks. I just went off the other day and bought a book on Linux, and it cost me $40 for one book. So you can toss us 10 or 20 bucks. It really does help. I am a business guy. The more money I make doing something, the more effort I'm going to put into it. But with that, as you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy. It was fun teaching this class to you, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one.